Hey everyone, welcome to the intro of episode 16 of the podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Phil.
And today we had a very special guest of Craig Benzine, better known as Wheezy Waiter. So yeah, we just talked about his video game history.
Talk about some of his favorite games.
We tell him some games that he should probably look into.
We talked about a lot. It's hard to encapsulate in an intro.
And then he just talks about how great our podcast is for about half an hour.
Oh, we had to cut all of that because it was almost too flattering.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys get the point. This episode has a guest, and we talk about stuff, and it's fun, and we like Craig as a person.
Yeah.
So, thanks for listening.
Do they know that you drink beer while you do these podcasts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tweeted out a picture one time of just like, time to start recording, and it was just a picture of like a 6-pack of beer.
Right. In the end of the first episode, we said that it was sponsored by Corona because that's what we were drinking the whole time.
But they didn't pay you.
No.
No.
We give a lot of free promotions to things that don't pay us.
Well, I just drank an Allagash White, which is a very good, one of my favorite beers.
Yep.
Yeah, that was tasty.
Yeah,
beer.
you were nice enough to bring some beer along with you.
Yeah, I brought a dish to pass.
Yep.
And now I'm going to have a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Nice.
Which, I don't think I've ever admitted this publicly on the internet, but we sold this at the restaurant I worked at, Big Bowl. And I would, once in a while, have a swig
Nice.
or a little chug at work.
But
So,
while you're walking it to the table, or just
Yeah.
like, and you're just like, I don't really like this guy. Swig.
Yeah,
and
no.
then hand it to him.
Not a customer. The bartender would come over and he'd like spray a little glass for each of us, and we just look around and we chug.
Nice.
And it never tasted any better than like
Stolen beer.
2 p.m. during a lunch shift
Yeah.
at work. It was awesome.
Yeah.
My server time was limited, but I do quite remember like this when you're working like the lunch shift, the slow lunch shift. You're just like, what do you got open over there?
Yeah.
Can you? I'll take whatever you're getting.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, the Sierra Nevada was the beer that I would go for
Okay.
at the Big Bowl.
Nice. So if you guys want to send him a free case, feel free to.
Yeah. His home address.
Yeah.
Is-
Are we talking to Sierra Nevada, the company?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
probably listening.
They often listen to it.
We
Yeah.
always get
Yeah.
little stuff from them.
Cool. Let's go.
All right, I guess welcome to episode 16 of the podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Phil.
And today we have a very special guest. I believe you guys know him as the asthmatic chef. Is that correct?
That's close. It's
close?
I'm not a chef.
Okay.
I was a waiter.
Oh.
And I have asthma.
Yeah.
I'm known as Wheezy Waiter on the internet.
I haven't heard of that
Yeah,
one.
that's-
I'm also Craig.
Okay.
Benzine.
Yeah, we know you as Craig
Yes, you do.
or Donald.
Donald on Platoon of Power Squadron.
Yeah.
Which is the web series that one of your previous guests makes. Is he your
That
only
is
previous
correct.
guest?
No, his wife has been on it as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And also, I will say, though, that I've been trying to get David on this podcast for a long time, and you officially
David
got...
Wolf?
David Wolf, you got him first on your podcast.
I did.
Yeah.
Because he has ASMR.
Yeah, and I didn't know what that was until I listened to that, and I have experienced that before, so it was cool.
You have?
Yeah.
So you have ASMR.
I used to get it a lot as a kid,
Yeah.
and I've gotten it like a handful of times the last couple of years, but
I'm
I
gonna
never
breathe-
knew what it was. I thought I connected it to something else,
Yeah.
but then
Ghosts.
listening to that, but listening to that, it makes sense and it goes into it.
Yeah, I'll briefly explain what it is. It's or maybe you should since you
No,
experience it.
please.
It's you hear if certain sounds, certain like for David it was like Mr. Rogers doing a factory tour, or these weird people on YouTube who just talk in a low monotone voice creates like a weird sensation. Starts at the top of his head or in his arms, and gets tingles just from the sounds. And it happens to certain people. There's a whole Reddit subreddit devoted to it, and it's a real thing, and it's weird.
Yep.
But that's not what this podcast is about, is it?
No, this podcast is usually about us complaining about sports.
Yeah, I think it's a sports
Sports.
podcast.
Sports
Okay.
matches.
Well, how about that Michael Jordan, huh?
Right? I think he's
Oh,
doing
he's-
as good as ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's going to make the All-Star team this year.
Yeah, for what sport?
Golf.
Soccer?
Golf and gambling.
All right.
Hockey logistics.
Yep.
No, this is about video games, guys.
Oh, that's right. You're throwing me for a loop because normally we don't have guests.
Yeah, thanks
Of
for
any-
keeping us on track, though.
Yeah, I'm a professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are currently shooting Pops right now. So that's why we got to talking about you being on the podcast.
That's right. I'm done shooting for.
I know, you're done. I gotta
episode
go.
9.
The second we're done with this, I gotta run over and do some shooting for Pops.
Should we talk about how crappy that director is?
Yeah, let's.
I'm sure he doesn't listen to these or anything.
No, I don't even know his name. Like I just call him
Jack.
Guy and Buddy all the time.
Jack.
Jack sounds
yeah.
familiar.
Yeah.
But I will say it is nice to have you on set because I will say something or suggest something and Jake will be like, no! And then you'll be like, I thought that was funny. He's like, okay, fine, we'll do it.
Yeah, sometimes I have influence, but sometimes
Yeah.
I don't.
But we always seem to be on the same page, I think, about
Not always.
adding things. Not always,
But,
but
yeah.
more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
I think we try to funny it up, and maybe we're ruining it, but
Yeah.
but we're just trying to push Jake in that direction sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's on. I want to plug it.
Okay.
YouTube.com/PineappleBoyFilms.
Yep.
In the Power Squadron. Check it out, Jake.
Chances are, if you listen to this, you've already heard of that and have come from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone's
yeah.
just like, yeah, we know about Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know about this Chris and Phil character.
Yeah. Did you guys should reintroduce yourselves?
I don't
ahead.
think that'll be necessary.
No. Okay.
For what?
I don't know. I'm gonna tweet this. Maybe
Okay,
people
yeah.
have never heard this before.
Yeah, so, okay, my name is Chris, like I said before. I don't like to give out my last name because I have privacy issues. No, and Phil's home phone number is...
It starts with a 9 and then a 1-1.
yeah.
And then you wait a little bit, and
Yeah.
then I'll pick up.
Press
I
9-1.
usually sound a little different than this,
Yeah.
but I'm there.
But anyways, yeah, so Phil and I do this podcast about video games, and it always kind of devolves into us complaining about video games because we're old, grumpy men at the age of 20-somethings. And so we just complain about video games and why they're not fun, and they're not fun because we're addicted to them and can't stop playing.
Yeah,
Basically.
it's not a not fun in terms of they're making bad games. It's a not fun in that it's our own personal reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's our own demons.
I listened to the first episode, and it sounds like you guys have a problem. You're addicted to achievements.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Like just gathering achievements as if it's your job, not as if it's fun.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
Well, because we like it so much, it's become like an issue. Because it's like we got to complete all of a game and do things that usually aren't fun to get those last couple achievements just because we need to have 100% completion.
yeah. Just so we can show all of our imaginary friends that are impressed.
Right.
We can be like, hey, look, I beat that game that you put down after 2 seconds because it was so bad. Aren't you a little impressed?
And that's why we also love and hate the website True Achievements, because it's basically Facebook for people that like achievements. And like every time you do something, it posts like, oh, they started this game, or they got this many achievements for this many points, or they completed this game.
Yeah.
And it also keeps a bunch of stats like completion percentages and all that other crazy stuff that we're addicted to.
Yeah, well, just seeing it makes you want to.
So this,
Yeah.
what episode number is this?
I believe this is 16.
16, and that was episode 1. Have you improved at all since then?
Actually, I will say that I think we have a little bit. I have tried to move away from it as far as I'm trying not to care about like completion percentages as much as I used to. Like, especially I would go back. I've been playing like the last year. I had only played games from like 2006 because I was going back to all the first games that I had on my card that I needed to complete that weren't, fun games. And so I just hated playing games. So my way around that is to either play on a different profile so I can get 1 or 2 achievements here and there and I won't have to worry about getting 100%.
Just escaping your profile.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I play games, I find a game or two that I already have completed all the achievements for, and I can just play it for fun and not worry about that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Phil, I think he was talking about recently, about your computer.
Yeah, essentially I'll just call it a Steam box, even though the Steam box isn't officially out yet.
Yeah.
And having just moved to computer, they have achievements, but for some reason it just doesn't register in my brain as something that I need to get. So I can play a game and not look at the list, and if I don't get anything, I'm just like, oh well, I beat the game. Move on to the next one.
Right. And especially because it's completely separate from your Xbox achievements. So.
Yeah.
Isn't it a good feeling to just have fun and not care?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing getting that computer, and then I'm like, why would I want to go back to Xbox?
That's my problem is not quite the same as your guys' problem. I'm not addicted to achievements, but maybe I should go through my life story with
Please.
video games
Sure.
first, and then we can arrive at my problem.
Yeah.
I have a video game problem.
Nice.
because I heard Jake go through his video game story, so I want to do that.
Yeah, we have a couple questions we like to ask our guests, and one of them is, tell us your video game history.
I'm hijacking your show, and I'm just...
No, it's
I'm
perfect.
Just,
That's
I'm
what
asking,
we need, honestly.
Yeah. If you let us run it, it'll be pretty awesome.
It'll be 4 hours.
Okay, I will... all right, I'll go through. I remember my first time being exposed to video games. My dad brought home an Atari and set up a TV in the hallway. I remember, like, for some reason, it had to be set up in the hallway. Maybe the way the plugs worked or something.
Yeah.
And I played Frogger and Pac-Man, and it changed my life. I loved Pac-Man. I got really good. And to this day, if I go to a barcade, I play Miss Pac-Man, and I actually try not to play Miss Pac-Man because I'll be there too long, because I'm good at it. I'm really good at Miss Pac-Man. Some machines are harder, though. Actually, I've noticed Miss Pac-Man machines, some are harder. Some are set like faster, or the ghosts are faster.
I've noticed for Pac-Man in general, the stand-up and the tabletop versions are slightly different as far as difficulty goes.
I think the tabletop tends to be harder.
Yeah.
And same thing with Donkey Kong Jr. There's a bar in Chicago that, can I say that we're in Chicago?
Yeah, that's
fine. That is the hardest Donkey Kong, one of the hardest games I've ever played. For some reason, that Donkey Kong Jr. is incredibly hard.
Probably just all the beer that's spilled on the machine. It's probably doesn't register jumps.
You have to look through the beer stains. But then a neighbor kid got a Nintendo, and he had Robbie the robot and everything.
Yes.
And
the robot was such a waste.
Yes, it was.
It's pretty cool, though.
It was cool, though.
Especially back then, because you're like, this is the future, guys. It's all coming all at once.
And so I played that. I went to his house and played that. I wanted to be there all day. I wasn't there long enough. And then, like, around the same time, my uncle got a Nintendo, and my family went there to visit them for some reason. I played for like 9 hours straight. I played Super Mario Brothers, and I got a blister on the back of my thumb. I don't know how I got a blister on the back of my thumb, but I did.
It's almost a blessing, because it's like, it's not on the actual thing, so I can
still
keep playing, guys.
Playing,
You just pushed it all the way through your thumb.
It just went around. So then eventually I probably begged my parents to get a Nintendo, and so we did. And I played Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda over and over and over and over and over again. And I had a friend who would come over to play Luigi, and I was a jerk. I'd always make him be Luigi, and I'd play for I'd go through many levels, then I'd die. He'd die right away. And then I'd play for many levels.
Right.
He'd have to sit there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I didn't care, because I just wanted to play Nintendo. I wasn't a good kid. Wasn't a good
told
friend.
him that he should have probably practiced more.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, even though he didn't have a Nintendo.
I will say that we've played video games a handful of times, and watching you play Super Mario Brothers is pretty amazing, because you are very good at it.
I'm pretty good at Super Mario Brothers. My gaming channel, which I'm not updating and haven't been updating. I do plan to go back to it at some point, but Wheezy Gamer, it's called. I started doing a thing where I was gonna play Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers until I died every video, because at one point I did play it all the way through without warping, without dying.
Yeah.
And my friend Matt was there. He can vouch for it. It happened.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do that again, but on YouTube. So I think there's like 4 or 5 videos of me getting pretty far and dying. But then I have other things to do, so I couldn't continue. I'm pretty darn good at those 2D platform games, and Zelda. I have a video series of me playing all of the original Zelda as well, and I basically still remember where everything is. Like which bushes to burn and where the levels are.
Well, it's weird how some of those old games, they just stick with you. Like, I know those two, I mean, like, I just thinking of, like, Mario, you think, like, the first time you go in, like, level 1, 2, or whatever it is, where you, like, where you can break the brick, how you can run across, like, I'll never forget that. The Contra code, I'll never forget. Like, some of those stuff is just, like, why would my brain retain the Contra code? And you're just like, I don't know, but it still works.
Yeah, think of the useful information we could have learned as kids instead.
Yeah, I don't know math now, but I can remember most of the fatalities for Mortal Kombat.
Great.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot I don't think I remember those.
Well, it's one of those things, like, I can't tell you what they are, but if I'm playing, I could probably just muscle memory them out. Because I don't know how to access that in my brain, but it's in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're sad people who know all this stuff instead of math.
Of real things.
But, so then... I loved video games for a while, and then I got a Sega Genesis. I was a Sega guy, not a Super Nintendo guy.
It's disappointing to hear.
It is. I regret it. I regret it.
Yeah.
But there was a point where my friend had a Super Nintendo, I had a Sega, and I was playing Shining Force 2.
Great game.
I heard you talk about it in the
Yeah.
previous episode, and I loved it. And then, so I beat that, and my friend had Final Fantasy 3, and he beat that, and then we traded systems to play the other
Yeah.
game.
Nice.
Those are
And-
two great games. With
Yeah.
two great
Yeah.
systems.
Yeah, in Final Fantasy 3, I think I logged like 90 hours on. Or
You
something.
have to.
Yeah, and it's one of the greatest games. And then I got a Nintendo 64, and I was obsessed with that for a while. But then around that time, a little bit after that, that's my ringtone.
Yeah.
I think I got a text.
Yeah.
That was not planned. It was a little late.
Yeah.
Then I went to college, and then once I went to college, I I stopped watching TV. I stopped playing video games. I got more into music and movies.
Yeah.
I think, and then so I disappeared from the gaming world for a while. Except for once in a while, if a good game cropped up, I'd go play it, and that's kind of where I'm still at. Like if I hear about a good game, I'll go play it. But my problem is, like, I have a hard time getting into games now. Like, everyone tells me BioShock is amazing, and so I went to play that. And partly I just wanted to research to see if I could put it on my gaming channel, and so I started playing it, and it was I got pretty far into it, and I was like, okay, this is a pretty good game. I'll do it on my gaming channel. So I stopped, and now I'm like, I don't even feel like going back to play it.
Yeah.
Even though it's good, it's really well done, but it's just, to me, it was. I've done many first-person shooters, and like games at this point, if they're not constantly reinventing themselves, I get bored because it's just like more tasks I have to do.
Right.
Like I tried to play Mass Effect, the first one, because everyone says the second one is like the greatest game ever. So I just thought I'd play the first one first.
Yeah.
And it was just all this busy work, and I'm like, I do busy work all day. I don't want to.
Right.
I want to sit back and just watch a movie or something. You know?
Yeah.
It was like, why do I have to care about this? That's my problem.
I agree with that too. Like I told him originally, like when I started playing the first Mass Effect and I didn't get very far into it, it was the same thing where I didn't feel like I didn't want to just micromanage everything, and so I stopped playing. And then when 2 came out, I played 2, and I was like, okay, this is great. And then I went back and played 1, and I only appreciated it because I had already played 2, I think, because it
Okay.
was more my style.
So I should give 2 a shot.
I think you can jump right into 2 and
Yeah.
be okay. Obviously, it's not going to be the same experience because
Yeah.
you're not going to care about the characters and it's less of a build up. But 2 is like pretty perfect as far as it kind of fixes a lot of the problems the first game had.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
and BioShock, like I know you're not into first person shooters,
Yeah.
and as a first person shooter, it's not great. It's just got a good story and a good world building and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mechanics of the shooting are kind of stupid and boring, and I can see how, especially if you don't like first person shooters, that gets old fast. Like they really just need to come out with a movie of that so you can see that instead, so you can
Yeah.
just experience the story and not have to worry about the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, the whole opening was amazing. Like it really, like the graphics and the narration and everything was awesome. But then once I started playing, I was like,
Right.
I don't know. I've done this before.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't like first-person shooters. I remember Nintendo 64. I played a lot of Turok.
Yeah.
Turok the Dinosaur
That was a good
Hunter.
game.
Yeah.
My favorite part about that is the bow and arrow. You could actually shoot, and you could still see the arrows sticking out
Yeah.
of whatever you shot. So then, like, I'd kill a guy from a distance, and then I'd run over to the body
Grab
and be
it.
like, oh my god, I got it from his neck!
Yep.
What a shot!
Yeah.
But so what should I play, guys? What should I play?
Oh boy. That's a loaded question, because there's a lot of games.
I have some suggestions for you. I'm sure people have thrown things at you anyways that you've probably heard, of course, of the Mass Effects or the BioShocks. But you said that you like point-to-click games, like back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you've played any of the Telltale games recently, like The Walking Dead. They recently came out with Tales from the Borderland, which is based on the Borderland game series, or the Game of Thrones game came out last week.
Those are point-and-click games.
Those are, they're considered point-and-click games, but what they are basically you pick the conversations, you make decisions, you can sort of scavenge around where you just like it's the point and click mechanics where like one thing goes and you can click on something, you can pick it up, you can use it to like barter with people later on, but there's no shooting, there's no like action. They do like quick time events, so like there'll be action sequences and like you have to like push left and you got to time it right, otherwise you get killed or something like that. But it's mainly like a point and click adventure.
See, that's awesome. I thought Walking Dead would be like a shooter or something. I know it's episodic, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. And that's the one good thing too is like you can sit down and if you have an hour to kill, you can pretty much get through an episode, and then like you don't have to, I guess, like remember where you leave off because at like the beginning of every episode they kind of just like recap like it was a TV show.
And,
cool.
And because you are making decisions and stuff, the story branches and the story is different for everybody else, and those decisions for the most part carry on through the episodes.
All right. I did say in my podcast that I do with my friend Matt that Day of the Tentacle is one of my favorite games ever. You ever played it?
I've played it. I know. Is it because it's Tim Schafer, right?
It's LucasArts. It's back when LucasArts was a good company,
right?
And it was, Tim Schafer did a lot of the writing for it. That's before Full Throttle and Grim Fandango. That was back when
Fandango is amazing too.
Yeah, which they're also re-releasing in January.
Yeah.
As a special edition.
I think if I would have played Grim Fandango before Day of the Tentacle, I would say that would be like my favorite game.
Yeah, Day of the Tentacle was amazing just because perspective switch. Like you switch between your three characters.
Yeah.
They're all in different time periods. You had to use all three time periods to solve like one puzzle. Like I remember I'm sure me and you could recite the game, but I just remember they're signing like the Declaration of Independence, and you're like, okay, I need to get like George Washington to cut down this cherry tree, but in order to do that, I need to like go to present day, and he needs to pass me this in the toilet.
You pass objects through the toilet.
Yeah, and then like, oh, that's right, I have to use red paint to paint the tree to get him to go cut it.
That reminds me, like, there is a game I was excited about when I just was reading about. Every once in a while, I'll go to the computer and I'll be like, I should play a game. And I'll just like look at reviews, like, what's the best game now? Yeah. And then I saw Broken Age, and then I read a little bit about it, and I was like, oh, it's Tim Schafer. He did a Kickstarter, and he made this game. Yeah, it's the guy who did Day of the Tentacle, and so I bought that immediately and played it. Not as good as Day of the Tentacle, but still a really good game.
Yeah, it's got Elijah Wood is your voice actor for.
I actually didn't realize it was Elijah.
The boy portion. Wood.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's not quite as I don't know. It's just something about Day of the Tentacle that I really.
Well, I think a lot of those old adventure games, there's just something about them back then that nothing will like. I play the adventure games is still one of my favorite genres, so I'll play a lot of the new point and click stuff, and there's just nothing that'll ever be like that LucasArts. Yeah, like Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, Grim Fandango, Full Throttle, Loom, like all of those old games. I'm just like, those were amazing, and these are okay.
But I wonder if it's because we're just older,
right? I think a lot of it's nostalgia. A lot of it's the fact that you sort of like cut it out of breaks because you're like, this game came out 25 years ago, so it's amazing. But if it came out today, you're like, oh, it's kind of like one dimensional.
It's kind of sad to me. Like I'm worried about that. Like I hear about all these games that everyone says are great, and I play them, and I'm like, and I'm worried that I'll never have that amazing feeling of video games. This isn't fun anymore.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, my sad truth is I don't think I'll never find a game that makes me get as excited as like when I played like Final Fantasy 3 or when I played like Monkey Island. Like I've played games now where I'm like, I really enjoyed that, but then, like, a week later, I'm like, what the hell happened in that?
Yeah.
When, like, the older games, I could be like, let's play it again. Even though I know all the puzzles, I still just want to go through the dialogue options.
Yeah. I think the last time I was most excited about a game, probably where it peaked, it was probably Mario 64. Like, when Nintendo 64 was, like, promoting before they came out and everything. Yeah. Once I played that, I'm like, man, how can life get any better than this? This is so awesome, right? Yeah. It's like a revolutionary 3D.
This is the peak of games,
right? Yeah, and then Ocarina of Time, yeah. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so. That sounded right to me.
Yeah. I mean the peak of Zelda, even though the originals, nothing can beat it for me. But
I was gonna say it's so hard to transfer a game from the sort of 16-bit era to the 3D world, and both of those I think just nailed it. Like Super Mario 64 could have been awful, them trying to do that transition, but it just worked perfectly. That and the Zeldas were great on N64.
But ever since Ocarina of Time, I've tried to play a Zelda and I just can't get through the whole thing. I get like halfway through and I'm like, yeah, well, it's just gonna be more of this.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I'm done.
There's the thing with Zeldas. I think it has such a huge fan base, and the fan base always is just like, we don't want you to change anything.
That's
At the same
Nintendo
time,
game
then,
in general.
Then it kind of gets stale because you're like, okay, I know in the first dungeon I'm gonna get bombs, in the second dungeon I'm gonna get the boomerang.
Yeah.
Like, you can only play that so many times and be like, yeah, all right. So like, you had your normal Nintendo, and then you jump to your 64, and you're like, yeah, this is great. Now it's in 3D, but like now there's no other leap. Now it's just like, yeah, the graphics are a little bit crisper, but it's still bombs to boomerang to bow and arrow or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, it's fun.
Yeah, and it's just you're just on a horse and you're just going to kill things and gather stuff. It's just more to me at this point. It's just more tasks I have to worry about.
Yeah,
more like
side missions and stuff.
because every day I'm editing video. I'm dealing with like a couple different web series and accounting and all money and all this stuff, and like the game is like the same thing but with just different pictures.
Your life has enough excitement and side missions that you don't need to keep doing the same things over and over.
I'd rather sit back and watch a dumb TV show
Yeah.
that I don't have to think about. You know, sometimes. I mean, if a game can draw me in, there's got to be something there. One of the more, I guess it's not that modern anymore, but like Shadow of the Colossus, I loved that game from beginning to end. Like I just played it all the way through.
That was a unique game though. Like that's another one like we were talking about of just like games that need to constantly kind of innovate.
Yeah.
And like you think like, oh, this is just going to be like a third-person action game.
Yeah.
But then it also works in like the puzzle of like, okay, how am I going to get on the Colossus? And plus, there's no like, I guess it's boss fight to boss fight.
Yeah, there's
as
no
opposed to
right.
there's no like dungeon where I need to like kill
Exactly.
100 guys.
Yeah.
There's no town I need to go
See,
buy
that's-
new weapons.
That's what I don't need in my life.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
just
need
need go.
You need the
send me to
climax.
boss
Yeah,
fight.
Yeah.
I need the story. I need the beginning to the end, and I just need to experience the world. I don't need to worry about like how much money this costs and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I gotta level up before I can go fight the next bad guy. So I gotta
Yeah.
fight these imps for 3
Yeah.
hours. It's like no,
No,
just
the
send me to
majority.
the next guy.
Yeah, the majority of it is just searching for the bad guy. It's like you're just on the. It's just peaceful. You're on a horse
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the open world. It's nice. I liked it. And that guy was gonna do. What was the new game?
Last Guardian.
Yeah, whatever happened to
Yeah.
that?
I don't know. They still sometimes say that it still exists.
Yeah.
They haven't shown any new footage in a long time, but I think it was last E3 or 2 E3s ago. They says it's still not canceled.
Yeah, that was their.
Doesn't
big
mean they're
news.
not working on it, but it's not
Not
canceled.
They're probably looking for money. It's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine. I mean, I don't know the guy obviously personally, but like he had Eco and then he had Shadows of the Colossus.
Both great games.
And both were great games, and I don't want to say it probably went to his head, but he probably made the third game, and he's just like, this might not compare to the first two, so that it's just kind of like maybe second-guessing himself or something like that in terms of development-wise.
And also, the fact that they did show some footage super early on and people just freaked out about it, it set the bar so high that I think he kind of pulled a valve where it's like, we can do 2 that are great, but we'll never come out with the third one. It'll be in development forever.
Yeah, it's the life cycle forever.
I don't know. My theory is that it's not about him. I think it's just whatever platform it has to go on, dealing with other companies, like how to probably money issues. I think it probably has to do with that because I think he can make a good game.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't proven otherwise yet, and that's the thing is like he's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
So like you can't just quit and just be like, I'm 2 for 2, I'm done.
Yeah.
You gotta keep pushing.
I know. I mean, even if you made a game that was exactly the same as Shadow of the Colossus, I'd probably still love it.
Yeah.
It's really good. I just love that. It's just quiet. No tasks. Just it's kind of depressing because it's so empty. But I like that. I like that about it.
Well, it's super depressing when you think about it. Like you're just trying to revive your girlfriend and you're killing these creatures that don't exist in the world. Like there's one creature and you're essentially making it extinct.
Yeah.
Just because you want to bring back your girlfriend.
Right. Spoiler though.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Game came out like 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to piggyback on that conversation I had with you guys had with Jake about which movies, which video games couldn't be adapted to movies.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, you say adaptation. It should be adaptation.
Adaptation, I know. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I think Shadow of the Colossus is a game that you couldn't make into a movie. I think you could, but
I don't think it'd be a good one.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't match the experience.
Right. Yeah, the experience. I think to me that the games that can't be made into movies are the games where the gameplay itself is actually really part of the story. Like that game is all about feeling just empty in this world, and then I'm going to spoil the end of the game.
That's fine.
So.
Yeah.
Careful! Get ready for a spoiler, everybody, if you're never going to play Shadow of the Colossus. But at the end, you discover that basically you're the bad guy. Your quest to save this girl is going to destroy your society, and then they're killing you. And how does it work? Like at the end, the game forces you to control the guy as he's being killed. Right? Is that how it works?
No, if I remember correctly, like after you kill all the colossi, like you have that whatever that like black smoke, whatever it is inside you turn into this giant monster.
Oh yeah.
You essentially like breathe life into your girlfriend.
Yeah.
But then you turn into this creature of destruction, and then you're kind of like destroying the tower that she's in when all these like horseback riders come to try and like I guess save her or
right.
do whatever.
Yeah. So and then the game forces you to control yourself as that.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of feeling you can't really make in a movie. You can't force. The fact that you are controlling it is very much part of the story, I think.
Yeah, because you're in their shoes, and it's like you've been the protagonist the whole time, now you're the antagonist. You can't have that same feeling watching somebody else turn bad, because you're just like, oh, okay, they're bad now.
Yeah,
now like, oh my god, I'm bad, and I can't stop myself?
What have I done?
Yeah. These hands.
Plus, I just imagine that today's movie making, like, I don't think they'd be okay with just the nothingness in the like they'd have to have like little obstacles that you're constantly overcoming on your way to kill these colossi. It'd be like, oh, we have to have some dialogue, and we gotta have, this whole thing. It couldn't just be a person on a quest alone.
Right.
Like, that'd just make a boring movie until all of a sudden.
I mean, there are movies that are like that I like that are long periods of nothing, but I think they wouldn't make it like that.
Right, because like the whole game is like peaks and valleys. It's like boss fight, nothingness, boss fight, nothingness, and that doesn't really work for pacing of a movie. It's got to be a slow build up to one big event.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a game. Also, Dark Souls, I think, is a game. Have you ever played Dark Souls?
I haven't. I've played it. I've also watched you. That was the one thing I watched Wheezy Gamer play was Dark Souls.
On Wheezy Gamer, that is the longest running game that I've been playing. Yeah. And I've dropped off. I haven't been playing so much, and it's partly because of the nature of the game. I think it's a brutal game. It's you die and you repeat the same parts over and over again, and it makes it hard to make it a video series because
how many times can you die and make it interesting and funny?
Because I really wanted when I started doing the gaming channel, I really wanted to not edit much. I wanted to just be free flowing, whatever happens. But I can't do that with that game because it's the same things over and over again. But I think the nature of that game is similar in that the playing of the game is unique to the story and not the.
Well, because it's that feel of being triumphant when you failed 10 times before. You're like, I keep dying at this boss, I can't figure it out, and then you finally beat it, and you feel like you're on top of the world because you're just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I just killed that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like there's not much story to the game, really. I mean, there's like this big mythology going on, and you learn the story through the items you pick up, and you can learn more if you want, but you don't have to. But I think the real story is just the frustration you have to overcome.
Yeah.
And you can't do that in a movie. So
no, it's like a 35-minute story told over 10 hours because you keep dying.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, you take 2 steps and then you die, and then the next time you take 3 or 4 steps and then you die. It's like, okay, I'm slowly learning stuff. Like, I'm progressing even though I'm not progressing through the game.
Yeah. Right.
So it's fun for you and, like, entertaining and satisfying, but, as a viewer, I'm sure it's going to get old.
Yeah. And that's not to say I don't like doing it. I want to finish the game. I do. But I have too many other things going on, and I it'd be easier if I didn't have to edit so much of it. Like I do have to go back and cut things out because it's just wouldn't be entertaining otherwise.
Plus, I just gotta imagine that game is not a game that you can just like pop in and get back into because if it's like mentally training you to how you're gonna like take on every battle, where you really have to be in the zone. You can't just kind of be half-assing that game.
Right.
So like if you haven't played for a while and you're like, oh, I have 2 hours to kill. Let me see if I can pop in Dark Souls. That 2 hours is going to be you going absolutely nowhere,
Right.
and then you're going to just be in a terrible mood the rest of the day.
Absolutely. But that said, it is one of my favorite games. I really think it's a brilliant game. I think it's so big and in depth, and like it's just an open world. You can almost go anywhere immediately, but you don't want to go.
Yeah.
You actually don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, you're
Sit
afraid
down.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
Characters,
Just let all
my
the guys
character's
kill each
still
other.
just sitting on the ground at
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah.
I'm fine here. It's safe here.
So, what else do we want to talk about, guys?
Well, I don't know if you saw this week's South Park, probably not because you're a busy guy, but they commented on Let's Plays and everything. We're trying to figure out why they're so popular and why they're entertaining. Why do you think that people enjoy watching Let's Plays?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why Let's Plays are so popular on YouTube. I think one reason is most of YouTube is made up of young people. And like we were saying, when we were younger, we liked video games more, and I think we had more time to play them. And and so I think that's why they're really popular. Another thing is that is one thing that YouTube can. It's unique to the internet. It's unique to YouTube. Is the long just watching someone play a game and talk over it. Where else can you do that? There's never been that on TV. There's never been anywhere else in history this type of entertainment. And I think this is still kind of a new idea, a new entertainment form of entertainment, and it's unique and exciting. And I think that's why young kids are drawn to it. Also, I think it works on a bunch of different levels. One, like if you're just a lonely kid, you don't have any friends, you feel like you have a friend watching this game. Also, you're just into games and you want to know if this game is good, so you go watch this game. And where else can you? It's sort of limitless as far as production value because it's all just a game. Like where if you watch a TV show. Like the Game of Thrones, that costs millions and millions of dollars to go to these different locations. In a game, you get to go everywhere that the game goes, which is it's like watching an animated movie on the cheap,
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is just like people are watching it for the game, like you said, like, hey, I want to know if this new game's any good. People are also watching it for the personalities.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure like when Wheezy Gamer was going on, there's people who may not be video game people, but because they like what either you have to say or you as a person are watching it just to support you.
Well, yeah, that's another level of it. There's also the personality. Over time, everyone has their unique personality. PewDiePie, for instance,
Right.
But that said, I don't.
That was great that you didn't say anything and say, but that said.
That said,
It's going to sound like I edited something out.
I know.
Having said
I edited
that-
myself.
Yeah.
I don't really watch them. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I think I used to. If I were younger, I'd probably be all over it. I'd probably be watching them all the time. But that's what I used to do with my friends. Is we'd watch each other play video games. But I'm over that now.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what South Park was saying too. Is like it's replicating the old like you used to play in the living room with all your friends and stuff. Mm-hmm. But now that doesn't really exist because one, everybody's younger, but two, like the internet, like all the games you have, you just play by yourself in your living room. You might play online with one of your friends, but you're not in the same room anymore. Mm-hmm. So that kind of replicates the whole commentary of playing through a game and making fun of it or making jokes or making comments as you're playing it.
Right.
That doesn't really exist in the world anymore, which is kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean, it probably still exists.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing. Like, even, like, we did a 24-hour game marathon earlier in the year, and it was hard to find newer games, that were even two-player on the same screen. Like, they've sort of made it because they're sort of forcing you to play online. They know everybody wants to have a big TV, and they want their experience to not be split up, that all the games are just, like, one player. You can play, like, 1,000 people online, but just one in the same room.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but I bet there are kids playing games that are, or watching other kids play games that aren't online. That's probably still happening.
Right.
Yeah, I imagine like if I was still of the age, 12 or 13, and I, get home from school, then I just go over to my buddy's place, and he's just like, yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sweet, yeah, I'll watch you play Call of Duty and eat fruit snacks and
exactly.
sit on the couch, and we can make fun of how, stupid that guy is, and call whoever we kill, derogatory names, but at the same time, like, I don't necessarily have to be playing, and I'd still get enjoyment out of it. Just now, like you said, like, we're at that age now where it's just like, why would I watch someone play the game when I have the game on my shelf?
Right.
I'll just play, and then I'll make up my own comments.
But it is surprisingly entertaining. Like, I can't put my finger on why. Like, I like maybe watching somebody do a Let's Play, or like I enjoy listening to podcasts, because in theory, most podcasts shouldn't be entertaining. Like, it's
people
two
talking.
idiots talking that you don't even know. But for some reason, it's like I can't stop listening. I'm really entertained. I want to hear what they have to say.
All right, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started watching this or listening to this on my way home in my car, I had a long drive yesterday. It was like, oh, they're just talking about achievements and stuff. Like, and I'm like,
which you can't even relate to.
And I'm like, I don't do the achievements, but then I kept listening. I'm like, I'm fascinated by this. It feels like there's dudes in this car with me, and we're having a conversation, even though I don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
And then I listened to the Jake one. I was like, yeah, it's like I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
But I was completely entertained, even though like some of the stuff I didn't know anything about. The Jake episodes I knew a lot about. That was more about movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was still fascinating to me. So good work, guys.
All right, here's your $100. Thank you for saying that.
You can go now.
Bye.
Yeah. Now that we have your endorsement, we can put that on everything.
Yeah.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already have the T-shirts printed out.
Yeah. Craig says it's okay.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. For some reason, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I completely get why like commentary to video games is entertaining. To me, like I just don't have time because most of them are really long.
Yeah.
And I think like most things on YouTube, you need to watch repeatedly to really fully get what it's about. Like I think like Wheezy Waiter videos, for instance, you could watch one of them and be like, oh, that guy, I see what he's doing, sort of.
Yeah,
sort of. And then if you watch 5 videos in a row, you see that, at least the way it used to be anyway, you see that like jokes carry over, and like you get to know the flow of it and the person, and it becomes familiar to you.
Yeah, and you get rewarded for having seen it before.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get that why gaming is like that, but most of the time I think part of the reason why I don't do it is because if I come across a gaming channel, I'm in the middle of it. Like it's just a dude talking about some situation he's in that I don't know what happened before, and I'm like, I don't have time to do research about it.
If you don't start at video 1 or have played the game, then it's kind of just like, oh, okay, I don't understand the gravity of this quest that you're on. I don't understand why you care. Like, I'm at a complete loss.
Yeah.
I will say that I did get... we recorded an episode and we talked about some old games that I'd played. And I did get a real nice kick out of going to YouTube and watching grown men play the endings of these real emotional games, and then just watching them try and hide the fact that they're crying on camera.
Yeah.
The 2 games, that I'm speaking of is like To the Moon, which is a computer game that's just real old-fashioned like story-based game, and then another one called Valiant Hearts, which essentially takes place in like World War One. But just like watching people who like, watching the last video of their Let's Play, and like they're joking around and they're being real assholes in the beginning, and then they get to the emotional part and they just stop talking, and then you can tell the breaking point because their face kind of like gets red a little bit, and they're still on camera and they can't cut the feed, so then they have to like kind of like pretend that something's in their nose, but just like you can just
look
tell,
away. They're always looking away. You can tell
when they break, and it's so satisfying for me.
I don't think I've ever cried to a video game. I don't think a video game's ever made me cry. I think one that came close was Final Fantasy VII. The
scene that everybody knows.
Yeah.
The girl who gets killed, like first third of the game, because she was like my favorite character. I was like building her up.
Yeah.
And I was playing her, and then she died, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
and then she's gone. Like in the first third of the game, that was shocking.
Yeah, especially because like you play those Final Fantasy games, and if you played any of them before 7, you know, really like, you're just like, people can't really die. Like you just, you know, whatever.
Right.
Like I'll go cast life on them, and then you know the game moves on. But this one, you're just like, it has cutscenes and it's emotional and there's music playing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the first games I remember too, because we had been taught for 10 years or whatever up until that point that death really doesn't matter in video games. If you die, that means you just have to do it again. But then that was like an actual like permanent death of a character and a character that you cared about.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
Is that like the first time that happened?
No, but I mean, like, it's the first super impactful one.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, the cutscenes and the music and the whole production value of Final Fantasy VII just stepped it up a level. Like, there's Super Nintendo games where there's permadeath, but you're just like, I mean, I was kind of attached to that
sprite.
pixel.
Like, yeah. What's your favorite? You're an RPG guy. I learned from this podcast.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
If we go all time, it's Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I. No, I'm thinking of Secret of Mana. I beat Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana's
I think
great too.
I made it pretty far in Chrono Trigger, but and then I think that might be when I went to college. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a good game. I think Final Fantasy VII might be my favorite.
RPG or just
3
game ever?
RPG.
Okay.
3 or 7. I can't tell which.
Mine I would say I like 3 better than 7, just because I think at that time it stuck with me because obviously like we talked about like younger games, just the nostalgia factor that I can remember more of 3 than 7. But 7 obviously is like heralded as like one of the best Final Fantasy, so I don't think you'd be wrong in picking 7.
Yeah. What about you? Are you play RPGs?
No. I never was into RPGs as a kid. It was one of those things where like stat managements and like turn-based things was like too slow for me. I was like action all the time, like stupid hyper little kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like more recently, I've been playing RPGs. Obviously, like, I played all the Mass Effects, which are considered RPGs.
Oh yeah.
Give me some RPGs that I've played, Phil. Like,
Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout. I played the Fallout series.
I've never played Fallout.
First-person RPG.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When I think of Fallout, I think of Half-Life. I know they're different games, but
yeah.
Everyone says Half-Life 2 is like one of the greatest games ever made. Is that true?
I would say it's for the time.
Yeah.
If you played Half-Life 2 when it was relatively new, you'd go, yes, no game has ever done this before. This is amazing. If you went back and you played Half-Life 2 now, you'd be like, I don't see what the fuss is about.
Yeah, you're like, I've done elements of this in every game.
Especially
since
having
then.
played, like, I guess the big
Portal.
thing with Half-Life 2, you've played Portal, so you've used, like, the gravity gun.
Yeah.
And that was like the big thing in Half-Life 2 was you get this gravity gun, you can pick up any objects around the world, and you can shoot it at enemies, and that works. Mm-hmm. But having played Portal, you're just like, kind of done this.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's another consequence of getting old.
Yeah. But also, you played Stanley Parable, or at least know about it.
Yes, Stanley Parable's awesome.
Yeah.
I played. I think I went through like almost every ending of the game.
Yeah, that's a recent game. When I got my computer, that was one of the first games I got. Me and Caitlin have been playing through it.
Oh, have you gotten through like all of it?
We've maybe gotten. I don't even know how many endings there are. There's got to be like 30 endings.
I think there's 15. I looked it up.
Okay,
unless there's more that I don't know.
I think we've gotten like 5 or 6 then.
Yeah,
so we're good.
That's a game. In case people don't know, that's a game. Oh, that. Podcast advice.
Yeah.
Instruct people who don't know what you're talking about. What to do.
We really should. Like, it's one of the things like I'm trying to balance between just explaining every little thing. Like a video game is something that, and like I don't want to assume my audience doesn't know what we're talking about, and then at the same time, it's like I don't want to just glaze over things they're supposed to know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, because there'll be people who enjoy listening to you guys who don't know a lot about video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but. Yeah, Stanley Parable is a game that basically makes fun of other games. It's like it deconstructs the idea of a video game, and there's a narrator, and he you mess with the narrator. He tells you where to go, and sometimes you don't go where he tells you.
Yeah, you can go either way.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
And it's one of those games where like it makes you want to make a video game. Because it's like so fun and like all of the writing and all the different paths. You're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to make a bunch of jokes about what some guy's doing in a video game.
You just have to imagine, especially if it's a Stanley game, you're like, man, that game initially you're just like, that's like a $5 game when I got it. I don't know how much you paid for it. You're just like, it's probably got a lot. But you're just like, the amount of work they must have put in just like dialogue wise for not even like we're talking the actual world making, but just the narrator's script that he had to go through. You had to be like, holy shit, this guy had some time.
Yeah, did you get to the part where you go like behind the scenes? Where
which one? The one where like the heaven ending?
I don't remember. It might be the heaven ending. It's the ending where you go. It's like it's a gallery. It's like an art gallery with like the models of the levels.
Yeah, there's a room where it's like his outtakes.
Yeah, you in the game you go into an art gallery and you see the making of the game in a gallery setting. And there's a room where the outtakes of the narrator are playing.
Yeah,
it's awesome. I love it. It's that's one of my favorite games I think ever. Although I mean, you probably only need to play it once. I guess you could show it to your friends and
it's
stuff,
definitely a game that we've been showing around when people kind of come over. We're just like, hey, you ever heard of this game before? Like, we'll show you. I would say you at least need to put in like 2 hours because if you like the first time you play through it, if you don't have the conception of what you can do and you just follow the narrator's voice, then you're like, oh yeah, that was okay, and you just spent 12, 15 minutes and you got one ending and you're like, I don't understand the draw. But then when you kind of like force them like, no, I know he says go in the left door, go in the right door, just see what happens. And then once you open up that world of possibilities, you just look on the face and they're just like, all of a sudden everything has changed and you're like, I don't have to follow? Go wherever the hell you want.
Do what I want to do?
Yeah. And he somehow knows?
Yeah, like I think I showed... I knew about the game, and when I got it, I try and play through some of these more entertaining games with my wife. And so I showed her like the game, and she starts playing through, and she's just kind of following his orders. And I'm just like, no, I mean, he says go in the left door, but let's just go this way. Just let's see what happens. And she does, and then all of a sudden, just like she loved the game and she didn't want to put it down. Like we had to stop for dinner, and she's like, I'll just keep playing. You make dinner. It's like because you get to that point where you're like. The branches start to happen in your mind, and you're like, normally I can go here, and that's 2 different ways, and I can go here, and that's 3 different ways, and you're just like, this game is endless.
Yeah. That same thing with my fiance. I told her about the game. We were out somewhere at a restaurant. I told her about the game, and she was fascinated.
Yeah.
And she doesn't care about video games at all. She's not into them at all. But I had to show her this game, and she loved it.
Yeah,
so
because it's not like it's not video. I mean, it's a video game, but it's not video gamey. It's just like you don't have to be good at any video game. You don't have to be good at jumping. You don't have to be good at shooting. You don't have to be good at RPGs. It's just like I mean, if you can somehow master both sticks to walk and look around, you're done. Like, just do what you want.
I think that maybe that's partly like what bores me about a lot of games nowadays is. I've proven when I was younger that I can do the jumping and the shooting and stuff. It just takes practice. It takes a lot of practice. And so if I pick up a game now and that's all it is, I'm like, oh, I could get good at that after a month. But I don't want to do that. I don't have time. But this game, it's just about taking in the story, which makes it really interesting.
There's something to be said about games that, I mean, you kind of start to see it now with more indie games than like the big production games, or games just like, this is just how we're going to tell the story. Like, video game is just the medium we're going to use. And those are kind of the games that I find that I start to enjoy more. Is because I'm just like, I mean, I don't need to spend like 20 hours to get good at being able to like headshot a guy 2 miles away. I can just be like, you want to tell me this story. There's a little bit of difficulty in between, but at the same time, it's just like I'm watching a movie or I'm experiencing a TV show, and I'm just get to control the action.
Or like innovative ways to tell a story that only a video game can do, like Stanley Parable or Shadow of the Colossus, kind of where video games. I have to go to the bathroom. Can we pause?
Absolutely.
But include this part of in the
we're
podcast.
gonna have like 5 minutes of just dead air.
Okay, and then can you include a flush sound?
Yep.
Okay.
It's just like we're a radio DJ.
Yeah. Please. And pause. I'm back. I'm back from my bathroom. It was great. The bathroom was very flowery. I enjoyed it.
We get a lot of comments from that bathroom.
It's awesome. I like it.
Bathroom. I believe we were talking about something before you went to the bathroom. That you were in the middle of a conversation, and then you said, I have to go to the bathroom.
No, I think we were kind of...
No, I think he waited to the
breaking
end
moment.
of it. He's
Okay.
professional. He knows what he's doing.
What else do you guys want to talk about? Got questions? Come on. Throw them at me.
The other questions we have for our guests is normally we do your gaming history, which you've already covered, but then we do, like, why do you play games? Like, if you have a reason specifically. For instance, to give you some time to think about it, like, I play games as a way to, like, relax at the end of maybe you work 8-hour day and you're just like, I come home, as opposed to putting on Big Bang Theory. You're just like, I want to relax and watch, you know, Caitlin play a video game, or I want to sit and play a video game, and that's kind of just like your downtime.
Well, that's similar to me, I guess. I spend most days, creating something, like a video or editing, like for like my other project, The Good Stuff, like editing videos or having meetings and talking about what we're going to be doing and stuff. And at the end of the day, I just I want to turn my brain off. Do I want to watch a movie? Do I want to watch TV? Go out, usually with my fiance China. Go out to a restaurant, or I don't know, just what's the entertainment I'm going to do. And if she's not around, like I might go to video games or watch a show that she doesn't like. But rarely do I go to video games anymore because, like I said before, most games are just like more tasks that I have to do, and I don't want to do them. Last night, after listening to your podcast, I did decide to go try some video games, and I went and downloaded. I went on Xbox and downloaded Braid, the indie game, which
game.
I've heard for years is like a great, like the best indie game ever made or something.
Don't know if I'd go that far.
It's always on a list though. It's always it's up there.
It was good.
I clicked download, and then it didn't work, and then I went online, and Xbox Network had been hacked.
Yeah,
and so then I went to Steam, and which is where I played Stanley Parable. But I downloaded Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic because I've been obsessed with Star Wars lately because of the new trailer,
sure.
And I watched all of Star Wars Rebels, the animated show.
Okay.
And so I downloaded Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, and I started playing that. And it initially was like, oh, this is like Mass Effect. This is going to be a lot of
It's
tasks.
the same guys, or
Same. It's BioWare.
BioWare. Yeah.
Oh, it's the same guys. Huh?
Yeah.
I could tell, but I didn't lose my interest. China just came home, and then I started playing.
Yeah.
But so there's hope that I can get back into video games, I think.
There's always hope. It only
Yeah.
takes that one spark of like a game where it's just like, oh yeah, this is great.
But then there's always the thing in the back of my head, like, should I be recording this for my gaming channel?
Yeah.
But then it takes a little bit of the fun away.
It
It
does.
depends. I mean, it'd be great if I could play a game and not edit and not have to worry about,
What other people are gonna think.
Yeah.
But I think I can do that with most games that progress like on a regular basis. But with Dark Souls, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I do want to finish Dark Souls, so I'm stubborn in that I want to finish that in the way you guys are stubborn to get achievements.
Yeah.
I want to finish that game before I go on to like a bunch of other games.
Stubborn is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
So Dark Souls is hindering my gaming channel. If anyone's listening and waiting for me to
I guarantee
do
they're
more.
just going to tell you, just quit Dark Souls. Just quit Dark
Yeah,
Souls.
they're
We
gonna-
would rather have your gaming channel than you want
But
to finish Dark Souls.
Yeah, I
I
know.
like the game and I respect it and I want to finish it.
Are you going to go Dark Souls 2 immediately Dark Souls 2?
I bought Dark Souls.
Yeah.
2.
It's
So-
like, I'm gonna punish myself twice.
Yep.
No, but I think I might play Dark Souls 2 on my own and just get a different game in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I think you should look into the Telltale games, because one, they're point and click, so you probably like it. They're very story heavy. That's all it's about, is story and choices. And yeah, I would look at the first season of Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, which is based on the Fable comics. I don't know if you're familiar.
No, I'm not. But
Basically, what it is the basically all the fairy tale characters have been like thrown out of their world and stuck in New York now. So they all exist now in New York, and they kind of have this underground thing. Like there's this thing called Glimmer or
Glamour. Yeah.
So they can hide as normal people. Like there's like, you know, the normal people that are fine, like, you know, like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and some of the other people can hide normally. But then there's like a toad, and there's like one of the three pigs and
this
stuff.
sounds awesome.
And they have to either use the glamour which they get from witches, or they have to go to a place called the farm. And so you play as the big bad wolf, who's like a wolf man. He's a wolf normally, but if he freaks out, he turns into like a werewolf. And you're the sheriff of this town, of Fabletown, and so you have to go around dealing with all the problems of. So it's like a hard-boiled detective novel.
It's very
point and click.
It's point and click.
It's very noir-esque. I mean,
Sounds great.
It's amazing. The first season is so much fun.
See, I see trailers and stuff for video games, and I don't think they advertise them correctly. They're always they make trailers like they're. I don't know if I've seen a trailer for this, but they make them like they're movies, and it's like, here's the cool images, and it's going to be exciting.
Right.
Which they should do is, like what you just said, fairy tale characters in New York. It's just a guy telling people.
it's just a guy superimposed on a screen.
Yeah, like, hey, listen, there's fairy tale characters in New York. It's point and click.
Yeah.
It's noir-ish, and it's awesome. Yeah. That sounds great. I would play that.
I would recommend... it seems like you... I mean, I'm just gauging here. But it seems like you might be more of a computer person than a console person. I mean, it's out for Steam and Xbox. Like, if you're truly into, like, the point-and-click, like, mouse point-and-click, then I'd recommend getting it for Steam, and it'll probably be cheaper, too.
I will say that it works very well, though, on the Xbox.
It does. I played it on the Xbox,
Yeah.
but I also know, like, with Steam sales and all that stuff, it's a difference of maybe, like, $20 on Xbox versus maybe, like, $10 on Steam.
Oh, yeah? I'd probably... I don't know. It depends. I think it might be... What if I were to put it on my Wheezy Gamer channel, would the graphics be better through the Xbox or through Steam? Or?
I believe it's about the same.
It's about the same just because there's a very specific art style to it. It's kind of like cell-shaded
graphic novel sort of thing.
It's cell-shaded too? This sounds great.
Yeah.
This sounds cool. I don't know which one I would do. Maybe Steam. But I'm not. It's not like I'm all about point and click.
No.
I just... The game Red Dead Redemption. Did you guys play that?
Yeah.
You guys have played every game, haven't you?
If we haven't played it, we certainly know enough to pretend that we have.
Yeah.
I've never played a game before.
I didn't know anything about that game at all. I just heard the name many times. Like, this game's good, and I pictured like Resident Evil or something. And then last night when I was looking for games, I watched a trailer for it, and I'm like, oh, this is a Western? This is like Grand Theft Auto, but a Western?
Yeah.
Why didn't anyone tell me that before?
Yeah.
Why don't people tell me these things?
Right.
People keep these secrets.
There should just be a headline: Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, but a Western. Yep. And like, that's awesome.
Instead of a car, you got a horse.
Yeah.
I think it's better than GTA. I mean, we've talked about our feelings about GTA before, but yeah, Red Dead's pretty great.
I would say out of all of Rockstar's games, Red Dead's probably their best.
Really?
Yeah.
Or do you like Bully also, right?
Bully was good.
I played Bully a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Red Dead, in terms of like their story, is actually well told as opposed to just like immigrants dealing drugs.
Yeah.
Now it's just like an actual like there's a process to their story, and plus just setting everything in Western, like literally like there's no straying from like that kind of Western genre, and you're like, yeah, this is what I needed.
Yeah, like I like
awesome.
it. I like when they're cliche. I like when it's like, you know, follows the genre and the motif, rather than GTA is just kind of like a stereotype at this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was that made? Red Dead Redemption.
It's relatively
3-4
old.
years ago, at least. Yeah.
Are they making a sequel?
There's been in talks. They want to do a sequel, but at the same time, like Rockstar is
all about
They're
GTA.
They're a little busy.
Yeah.
They made GTA 5, and then they'll probably rest a little bit.
The most successful video game in history.
Yeah. Until the next one comes out.
What do you guys think of GTA 5? I've played a bunch of that.
I can honestly say I haven't played 5. I've played 4, but I haven't played 5.
You've played a lot of 4.
I'll ask you in a second, but I want to talk now.
Okay.
I've played. The reason I played it was because my band went on tour. My band, Driftless Pony Club. We're called Driftless Pony Club.
You're probably familiar.
And we went on tour this last summer, and the van had an Xbox in it, and with the TV, with the van we rented. It's a company that is specifically for bands.
Nice.
And they had an Xbox, and so I bought it on the road. And playing GTA 5, the TV is like I'm in the immediate back seat of the van, and it's like right in the middle between the passenger seat and the driver's seat. In the front, and so I'm looking up at the TV and looking down at the actual road. And so I'm looking up at the TV and down at the actual road, and that was insane. At first, it took a while to get used to it. Like, I'd be driving on like an interstate that looks very similar to the interstate we're driving on, and then like I'd almost hit a car, and like I'd get like kind of dizzy. Like look, cause,
like a little car sick almost. Like
because it's like the reality and video game blurred, but it was awesome. I enjoy. It was a good way to pass the time.
Good thing you weren't driving the van then.
Actually, I was.
Okay.
Driving the van.
Wait,
And
I'm driving, yeah.
We figured out a way to hook the Xbox up to the car, or the van, and yeah.
If you could drive a car with an Xbox controller, would you try it?
Nope.
I would try it. I would try it.
I would try it if I had a giant field to try it in.
Yeah. So you've played the game. Do you like it?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of got over GTA after 4.
I never played 4.
4 was just like... We've talked about it in the podcast before, but it was just like so much extra stuff. Everybody was such a cliche. The driving was awful because they wanted to make the driving realistic. So it's like you stole a Honda Civic, and it's like it drives like a Honda Civic, which means in the game it drives like a boat in mud. Like it wasn't fun. Like if your name is GTA, you got to at least have fun driving.
Right.
And there's other games like Saints Row, which is like the fun version of all that stuff. It has all the same elements, but it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
So you get to like dress up as a clown and smack somebody in the face with like a dildo gun. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
who doesn't want to do that?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I can do that, or I can just stand in an intersection and purposely get hit by cars so I can get money from insurance fraud. Yeah, or I can go bowling with my girlfriend 17 times before I'm allowed to do the next mission like you have to in GTA. So,
yeah. So GTA 5 is better, but it's not. Like...
It's better, yeah, but it's one of those things too. It's like you can spend like 8 hours just playing a round of golf if you want to. There's just they try to throw so much stuff into it. And he mentioned in the last podcast, like he realized there was an achievement for playing GTA 4 in a certain amount of time.
Achievement whores,
right?
So that's a problem.
Yeah,
with
those
that
games,
ruins games,
right?
Yeah.
And for that game specifically, it's like beat the entire story in under 30 hours, which is weird because it kind of goes against their whole thing of wanting you to do everything and do all the side missions. But he said he realized that the game is pretty awful if you just play through all the story, and that's why they throw all these extra side missions and all this extra stuff, because the story itself is kind of boring and cliche.
Yeah, I mean, you notice, I mean, like, I don't know, I mean, you enjoyed Grand Theft Auto and 5 playing it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's probably because you were also doing, like, you were joking around and then doing missions and joking and doing missions. You were just doing straight through, but you kind of notice, like, there's a certain repetition. It seems like every 5th mission is just, like, drive to this island, you know, go through, do a car chase, and then the guy gets out of the car, and then you shoot him, and then that's it. And that's your entire mission. And it's fine when you're doing it in between all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it, like, back to back to back to back missions, you're just like, oh, I kind of noticed there's a pattern here, and then the pattern becomes really transparent, and then you're just like, okay, I'm at my 5th mission, I know it's going to be drive, car chase, kill guy, and then you're just like, well, there needs to be more here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I don't play video games that often, so like, this is like, every time I pick up the new critically acclaimed video game, it's like a period of a year or two, but since like I've played the newest game, and it always blows my mind because I haven't been paying much attention. So it's like, they can do this now, these games are this big, you know, and on the one hand, on the other hand, what you just described is my problem with every video game. Like it is just a bunch of tasks. Yeah. And I've played this game for a while, and I've been playing it at home since the tour a little bit, but not that much. I haven't picked it up in a while because it's just tasks. I know that the next mission's going to be like, oh, and I have to do this thing. You're like, okay, I'm going to do that. I probably will never finish the game, but picking it up and seeing how big it is and the graphics and everything, I'm impressed. I'm just like, yeah, this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's certainly, I mean, like, from a standpoint of just, like, a milestone game, it's amazing because, like, especially they've re-upped it too. They just re-released it, and now it's like Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and stuff like that, where now like the graphics are even better. And it was amazing when it was on the 360. And you're just like, yeah, this is great. Like, this big of a world with this many options of things to do. Like, milestone-wise, this game's amazing. But, like, I guess if you just took it on, like, the merit of, like, missions and story, you'd just be like, it's kind of like a B-level movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
well, yeah,
it's okay.
I will say about 5 though, like I talked about it a little bit with David Wolf on the set of Pops because
He likes it a lot.
he likes it a lot. We both didn't like 4. So when it first came out, he had gotten it, he had played it. I've only played it in 2 hours maybe, but he's played it all the way through. And he says basically all the problems he had with 4, they fixed in 5,
Okay.
which is good. And I definitely had more fun playing a little chunk of 5 than I did of the beginning of 4. Because the beginning of 4 especially is like, you don't get to do a mission for a long time. You have to drive around. You don't even get a car for a long time, and then you have to drive around once you do. But anyways, it's fun as like a world simulator. It's like a sandbox.
Yeah.
Like you're just always impressed with like the physics and how much detail they put into it. You're like, oh, I can go over here and play darts if I want to, and they have like a mini game for darts. Like that's fun and exciting.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's always fun to play for 2 hours, but I don't know if I wanted to play the 40-hour game.
Yeah, that's always the best part of Grand Theft Auto games is just the world itself. It's ridiculous how open and free it is. The only one that I've beaten, the only Grand Theft Auto I've beaten was Vice City. I played that.
That's
the
that's
80s
a
one,
that's
right?
a very good game.
Yeah, I
that was, like, the
enjoyed
best
that.
one.
Yeah, and that has the best soundtrack probably too.
What's so good about that? Why does it make it so good? Because it's stylized. Because it's so.
I think the
Yeah.
stylized helps it because then like they're allowed to be incredibly cliche and
Yeah.
stereotypical, and you're just like, yeah, but it's fine because it's
Yeah.
the '80s, and then
Yeah.
But like when you're like cliched and stereotyped in like the '90s as immigrants, at least for Grand Theft Auto 4, you're just
Yeah.
like, this just is coming off a little racist.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how this
I think
feels.
it's because it's like one is taking itself seriously, and the other one was like, oh, we're making fun of like cop shows from the '80s. So you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's fun then.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
We're laughing with you. We're not laughing at you.
Yeah. Like when they could just mimic Scarface, and you're just like, yeah, I get it. I
Yeah.
saw Scarface. And then now you're just like, oh, this is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just fighting for a better life.
Right. Yeah, he immigrated to America to get a better life, but then does exactly what he did in his original country.
Yeah.
That's the fourth one.
Yeah.
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 It's like, oh, he moved here to get out of a life of crime, but the first thing he does is commit a bunch of crimes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
He's really grown as a person.
It'd be
Yeah.
great if the fifth one so far. I gotta say that the first guy that you play.
The like old gangster guy that just got out of prison, or
No. The what's his name? I don't remember.
There's
his
Michael. There's Trevor.
yeah,
And then there's
I don't know the guy that I just described. Right?
I think yours
That's
is
Michael.
Michael, right?
And then Trevor's is the old crazy guy who just
Yeah,
kills
he's
people
like
for no reason.
right, the trailer park guy.
the gangster, the
The third guy.
Yeah, the third guy.
So far, I'm enjoying his story. Like I'm seeing he wants to get out of this low petty crime that he's doing. He works for a used car dealer,
Right.
and
He wants to get into bigger crimes, I'm assuming.
I guess,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird, but a weird thing to root for. But
Yeah.
but I do enjoy what like seeing his. It feels pretty full, pretty well written to me so far, but I haven't gotten that far into the game, so I don't know.
No, like I definitely think, and we could probably end on this Grand Theft Auto talk because I know time wise. But I feel like the game is just great in small doses. If I was to play 4 in like hour time periods,
Found a secret.
Yeah.
it'd probably be great. But it's like when I was force feeding myself to play it all the time, that's when issues would arise.
Yeah. So we're ending on Grand Theft Auto?
Well, we're ending Grand Theft Auto. We don't have to end entirely.
Okay.
Unless I mean,
Good. I don't need to talk more about Grand Theft Auto.
okay, great.
I'm not that passionate about Grand
Good.
Theft Auto.
I was wondering though. You said something in your topic town about how you were like not a social kid, and that's why you played video games, and that's why you're good at them.
Did I say that?
At the beginning of it, yeah.
Sounds like something I would say. I don't remember saying that.
Okay. I mean, how do you feel about how video games have changed to be like more social? Like, have you gone online and played an online game where people can like talk to you and stuff?
No, not really. Like a Call of Duty or
Yeah, like I wondered if you ever got like trolled or somebody like harassed you or something.
No, I've never even played games like that. Like there's an online element of Dark Souls. I've never played it. I just play by myself. That's just the way I'm used to playing video games.
Yeah.
It's weird to me to have other people watching and being there to see me do this. So
Yeah.
I don't I played Dark Souls 2 when the day Dark Souls 2 came out. I went and got it and played it live on Twitch. The only time I've ever gone on Twitch, and just because just to see what would happen, I guess. And and so
If
there
Twitch would
was
break.
running commentary on that, but it was a new game, so no one could critique me.
Yeah.
But I was being very bad at the game. I was
That's
Yeah.
half the game, though.
yeah, yeah, it's true. But yeah, so I don't know. No one ever really trolled me. It'd be interesting. Like you can actually, you know, this is how out of touch with online games I am. You can actually hear people talking to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, which I've never done that. I've never
Really?
played a game with that experience. I should probably do that, huh?
It depends. Well, see, this is the thing I was thinking about actually last night was how, like, you know, gaming, especially back when we were younger, was like we were nerds. We would do it alone by ourselves. I mean, or with our friends, but like it would be something that we did isolated from the world.
Right.
And like we were nerds, we were the losers. And now if you go online and play with people, it's basically like all the jocks and stuff. Like if you play like a Call of Duty or something like that, it's all the jocks then beating you up in gym class, basically.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like, why would I want to do that? I'm playing video games to get away from those people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to like call me names and like squat on my face and do all the things that they would have done in real life.
It's real unfortunate that that's what it's become now. That used to be the place for the nerds to go to hide from that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The competitive nature. It's become like we were talking about all the like getting achievements or like what game were we talking about? I think we might have been talking about GTA, where you have to go do this and this and this. And I was saying how you like I could take a month and get really good at this, but why? That is a sport. That's just like practice. It's just you practice and practice and get better. That's not why I play video games. I'm playing video games as an alternative to sports. Like,
exactly.
I don't want to do that. But the good stuff, one of the shows I do on YouTube, we did a whole video about Street Fighter competition. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was great.
And I was shocked to see how intense it gets. Like how
it is considered like a sport now, like electronic sports, like gaming sports, and they get like a lot of money for it.
Yeah, and the people playing it, some of them can be jerks.
Yeah.
They're just like in your face. They're intimidating you, and that's not fun to me. It's unfortunate that that's the way games have become.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're taking it, like you said, like it's a sport where, you know, there are people who are playing sports who are like, their job is to try and get in your head. So if they can get in your head by rattling your cage, by being a complete asshole to you, where you're just frustrated and mad at them, and that affects your gaming, then they win, and that's kind of how they've adapted it. I mean, like esports, like you said, like, I mean, just like the Dota competitions that are happening, which is really just like I want to say it's like a cross of like Diablo but it's like a competitive Diablo game.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. But just like winners of those competitions take home millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and just you watch like their lives and you know they train constantly. Like it's not just video games, especially aren't fun for them. Like
no.
You could invite them on the podcast and they'll tell you how unfun it is. It's a job for them. It's 8 hours a day of planning and learning strategies, and it's just like memory repetition to play these competitions.
But I mean, it's definitely there's incentive to do it. You can win.
Oh, for sure.
Money.
Yeah. It would be great to be a professional video game player. If I got $1 million to play Halo, like that would be great.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things too, because they're sponsored, because there's money involved, because it's like entertainment. There's this whole like they want to pick somebody that's very outgoing and flamboyant that like yells at people, and like it's like they're trying to make drama out of it, just like anything else. Like you don't want to have a reality show of a guy that's really good at video games but doesn't say anything while he's playing.
Real
So
humble.
he just sits there and is really good, but he doesn't like talk trash and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there was that one tournament like a week or so ago where the guy got kicked out of the tournament because he was like saying that he was going to rape his opponent and stuff, who happened to be a girl, which made it 1,000 times worse. So they kicked him out. He was in the championship match with this other girl, and they kicked him out.
Yeah, I'm fine with that decision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. Like it's like they feel like they have to do that. They feel like they have to like always be like it's like, you know, like a boxing match before they fight where it's all just they just throw jabs back and forth.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense that this is the way it's become, because as video games get better and better, it's just going to reflect the real world. You know, that's just how it works.
I mean, eventually you're just going to put your video game suit on and you're going to be on a basketball court or, you know, a hockey rink, and you're just going to be like, yeah, I'm this good at virtual sports because I'm this good. Like I had to
Yeah.
practice. I had
Yeah.
to, like in the gym, actually working on my my free throw
Yeah.
to be good at a video game.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to the point where you can win millions of dollars or make millions of dollars, it becomes a job. Everything will.
Yeah.
But I think there'll always be a place for weirdos like us to just play games.
Hopefully,
It's
yeah.
called, it's called single player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Also, you recently had your birthday at a barcade.
I did.
How do you feel about the whole trend of barcades?
It is the best thing that's ever happened
right.
in my
Like
life.
for people our age, I think it's perfect because it's really sad that arcades don't exist anymore. They basically died off.
Yeah.
But the people that enjoy arcades are the people that are adults now, 30-somethings.
Yeah.
And it's great to hang out with your friends and play some games that you have to put coins in to play first.
Absolutely. I don't know who I was talking to about this, but like it makes total sense that barcades are cropping up all over the place now because people our age. I'm older than you guys, but how old are you?
Slightly.
28.
28. Chris?
29.
29. Yeah, I'm 34.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, people probably a little older than me or around my age some of them have the ability to own establishments now.
Yep.
So they're making barcades because that's what our generation loved, and it's the old school video games. Some even older than our generation, but it makes sense that as we get older, that's the way bars and restaurants are going to be. Like in 20 years now, the kids today are going to be like, it's going to be all online hubs, like to play video games.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird. I'm probably not going to like it,
No.
but
It's all going to be sexting and
Nothing
yeah.
but sex.
Snapchat and
Yeah, but barcades are awesome. I love it. It's like it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true. So kids, if you're listening, when you see your parents go out to a lame place, just know that when you're their age going out, it's going to be places that you like. It's going to be because
it's just people recreating their childhood.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's lame now, but it was awesome when they were kids.
There you go. Like my parents, my dad was in a bowling league, and bowling was a big deal when they were younger, and it's not anymore. It's still fun to go once in a while, but like a league.
No, you're right. Come on.
Come on.
Unless it's a hardcore drinking bowling league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
Where most of the balls don't even make it all the way down.
Yeah, they have bumpers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I was gonna say, like, I did the first barcade I went to, I was in New York for my brother's wedding, and it was like 7 years ago. And he took me to this place, and it's just like, yeah, you're gonna like it. And the fact that like the games were still like a quarter,
Yeah.
because they can just and so you're just like, oh my god, my money,
Yeah.
it works. I could play Donkey Kong like all the way through for a quarter.
Yeah.
And then it was amazing too, just being like, I'll have a beer, put it down in the machine, I'm ready to go. I got $5.
Yeah. What's your go-to like old school arcade game?
If they have it, then I'm gonna go some Popeye because I used to play that in a
Popeye?
dent.
Wow.
I used to
They
play
don't
that-
have that anywhere.
I don't think I've ever played that. What's Popeye?
You're Popeye.
I know what Popeye is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not the game.
And Olive would be captured by whatever his name is, Bruno or whatever the big guy's name
Yeah.
is, and she would blow kisses at you, and you had to collect the kisses before they touched the ground.
I want to call you names right now, but I'm not
Go
going
ahead.
to.
But the thing is, it was a game that was at my like dentist's office. So every time as a kid that I went to
Right.
the dentist's office, I just sat there for like hours until I was actually served. But if you're going to talk a real game that I'd actually sit down and play, I'd go original Donkey Kong.
All right, that's a good one.
Yeah.
For me, it's Burger Time.
Oh, yes, it's so good.
Burger Time is like probably my first go-to at the old school arcade the barcade places, and Miss Pac-Man and Frogger. Logan Arcade has Frogger, and that's a good one. I'm trying to think of another one. Those are probably my main ones.
Yeah, my super old ones, I don't know. I mean, Turtles in Time is always like, if I ever see that anywhere, I'll stop what I'm
I don't know
doing.
what that is.
And play. You don't know what Turtles in Time is?
No.
So it's
We're gonna
it's an
pause the podcast and go play
yeah,
for
we're
a
gonna
little
go
bit.
play.
Yeah.
It's a Ninja Turtles game,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
you travel through time and stuff.
Oh, that's not quite as old school.
It's not quite as old
Yeah.
school, but nowadays it's like 30 years old, so it's kind of old school.
Yeah.
But super old school, I would say, obviously, the Donkey Kongs, like Burger Time, Root Beer Tapper.
Beer. or just Tapper.
Tapper, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Before they called it Root
Root
Beer
beer
Tapper.
tapper. Yeah, I know. And I kind of like Centipede. Like
Centipede's
I
good.
kind of like it's one of those games. I kind of got into it again because it was like one of the first games that I could program to play on my like graphic calculator. Being super nerdy.
Oh yeah, I played that on there too.
Yeah,
and Snake.
and Snake, right? And then I would go back, and then I kind of got it. Like I bought Centipede for like the PC, and I would play that and stuff.
Have you ever been to Logan Arcade?
Yes.
You have.
Yeah.
Have you been there since Killer Queen
No.
has been around?
No.
I'm going to tell you guys about this thing called Killer Queen.
Love it.
I think this is very local. This is a local arcade in Chicago, but there's places around the country, around the U.S. that this Killer Queen game is at certain barcades, and I think it's revolutionary in a way. It's this giant screen, and it's two giant screens up against each other, and you can play teams of 5-on-5 or 4-3, whatever. I mean, you can play as many as you want, but up to 5-on-5. And it's like basically like Joust kind of, but everyone is playing, and there's like 3 ways to win. It's like it's group combat against other people, and you have to work as a team, and it's sort of like recreating the online experience in a very lo-fi way in person.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's sort of like going backwards from internet to arcade. And
Yeah, well, being
Which
in
is-
the same room, that alone is where you
Yeah.
can actually just talk to the person next to you.
Yeah.
He's like, provide some backup, you asshole.
Yeah.
No,
And,
that's more
and
fun.
a barcade is a perfect place for a game like that.
Yeah, and Killer Queen is probably aside from maybe probably the one game I'm most excited about right now
Nice.
out of any video game,
Yeah.
because it's so unique and you have to do it in person. And remember when we used to have to do things in person, guys?
Yep.
I don't even do job interviews in person anymore.
Yeah. Or your job. You work
Or
from
I
home.
don't even do my
Yeah.
job.
You don't even
in
do a
person.
job.
I work from home. I don't even need to go to the office anymore.
Yeah.
Just sit there. Yeah, I'm
Let's
here.
all go to Logan Arcade right now.
Let's go. I think
do it.
that's a good place to stop anyways. So
Sure.
yeah, we need to go to Logan Arcade and play some Killer Queen.
Seriously, you
So-
guys are gonna love it.
If you happen to be listening to this live, which is impossible, come and meet us there and we'll all play together.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Not that you need it, but do you want to promote some of your stuff?
Sure. I do a lot of things on the internet. I have my main thing is Wheezy Waiter, youtube.com/Wheezy Waiter, in which I have adventures with my clones and talk about the news and my butt and whatever I want. And I have a gaming channel. I'm going to promote that just because it's appropriate for this conversation, but it's pretty dead right now. I do plan to revive it at some point. It's Wheezy Gamer, youtube.com/Wheezy Gamer. Mostly, I'm going to finish Dark Souls, damn it. I'm going to finish it. One of the things I'm working on most right now is The Good Stuff, youtube.com/The Good Stuff, which is sort of like if you've heard Radiolab or This American Life radio shows. It's like taking that but putting it to video, which is like taking a theme, making several videos around a theme in a playlist. We've done 10 playlists. We've done playlists about airplanes. We've done playlists about recycling, and so on and so on. And we're working on new ones for next year. And that's probably all I need to promote right now.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/Wheezy Waiter, which is what I'm probably going to use to promote this podcast. So most of you already know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have to go through our...
I mean, we got a couple of things too. If you feel like following us, we're also on the Twitter, right? That's how the kids are saying it nowadays.
So.
At Not Fun Podcast. We got a website, thisisn'tfunnymorepodcast.com. And we got a Facebook page, and you can find us on iTunes if you want to find more episodes or subscribe.
No.
So,
I will say a shout out to our one new follower that it's been like 2 weeks and we haven't gotten one. So
Yeah.
we finally have one, Mr. Denny D.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. He just started following us right before the
That's
podcast
great.
started.
Well, I just want to say, when is this going to go up?
Monday.
Monday. Okay. Well, the fact of the matter is, at the point at which we put this podcast up, the majority of people listening are probably going to be people that come from my Twitter account.
Yeah.
Someday in the future, when these guys are super popular, I'm going to sound like such a douche for saying that. But
That's not gonna happen.
it's really good. Go back and listen to all what these guys are doing, and subscribe and tell your friends, because This is just good old-fashioned, honest video game talk, and I like it.
That means so much to us.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotta cut it before I cry.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I don't know if we haven't mentioned this in a while, but we do have a Twitter challenge that Phil threw out there that if we get to 200 followers, Phil's going to buy a new console, either an Xbox One or PlayStation 4. So
Now I'm kind of scared. Of Greg being on the show.
yeah.
Like, maybe you just hold off a little bit.
So he was very confident throwing that out there, but now we don't know because he just bought a new gaming computer.
We'll
he
see.
just had a wedding.
I mean, I'll honor it.
Yeah.
I think you need to play new games. That's like the issue you've been having. We haven't talked about it on this episode.
Right.
But,
Well,
Yeah.
that's why we think it would make the podcast better if he had a new console.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that'd be the thing. Is just like, I think it's strictly an Xbox 360 thing.
Yeah.
I think whether I got a new system, whether it be an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 or Wii U or whatever it is, like I feel like that would kind of break the cycle of just me having this thing. I mean, it worked for the computer. I can't imagine it not working for PlayStation.
This is when I listened to your first episode. This is what I wanted to shout at you guys.
Sure.
Was video games are supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to shout to anyone in competition and training and, making it their job. Well, it's your job, so that's great. But if they're supposed to be fun, so everybody listen. Okay?
That's as good a sign off as...
Yeah. Oh, so I don't know. You haven't listened to enough episodes, but we randomly will come up with a new sign off and just say something weird and stupid.
Okay, here's one.
Okay.
Are we done? This is the last thing that's going to be said.
Yeah.
The robots are eating my pants. And cut.
That's perfect.